This episode of I Am Salt Lake podcast is proudly sponsored by Jed's Barbershop. With 3 locations, you have no reason to not always look your best. Go get a haircut, a beard trim, or even a straight razor shave. Jed's Barbershop is open 7 days a week, Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 9 p.m., Saturday, 9 to 7, and Sunday, 12 to 5. Their newest location is located at 167 East, 900 South, right next to Randy's Records. They also have a location downtown at 212 South, 700 East, and up in Sugar House at 2153 East, 2100 South. No appointment is necessary. Just show up, get yourself a haircut. Maybe you have a last-minute date or a job interview. Jed's Barbershop is the place for you. Head on over to their website at jedsbarbershop.com for more information.
Showcasing local talent, professionals, and everyday people making Salt Lake City what it is today. It's time for another episode of the I Am Salt Lake podcast.
I want to welcome everybody out today to episode 302 of I Am Salt Lake podcast. My name's Chris Hollifield.
And I'm Chrissy Hollifield.
Today on the podcast, we get to sit down and chat with Kelly Green, owner of local Salt Lake City vegan bakery Cakewalk. We have an awesome conversation talking about how the bakery started, the punk rock bands that she's been in. We even get to talk about being a female vegan powerlifter.
That's insane.
I mean, she's got an amazing story.
She does. She's done so much.
We get to talk about just vegan eating in Salt Lake City. I don't think we've really gotten in depth with that. I know I did a little bit back when I had Casey on from Zest.
Yeah, we've talked a little bit about it, and I don't know anything about vegan eating, so this is fascinating.
What a great story. And I've known Kelly quite a while, so it was nice to finally bring her on the podcast. We're going to get into that conversation here in just a minute. I do want to thank Terry over at Park City TV for having me on his show this past Monday. And for those of you that watched it, it was great to be back on Park City TV and share a little bit of my excitement. 300 episodes of I Am Salt Lake.
Yeah.
What a great time. I mean, the last 5 years spending with you guys, you, the listener, has been an amazing ride. I mean, how far this podcast has come. And we don't need to get into that, Chrissy, right now, but I just want to thank Terry over at Park City TV.
It was a great interview.
It was.
It was fun to watch.
And we got him scheduled to come on a future episode of I Am Salt Lake, so make sure to keep an eye out for that. Hey, we all run into events where we need a photographer, whether it's a family get-together, especially with the holidays coming up. Maybe you have a work holiday party if you're a comedian that needs headshots. Or if you're like Chrissy and myself, we were looking for a wedding photographer and we didn't know who to turn to. We want to invite you to check out the photography of local photographer Amanda DeWolf. She took all of our wedding pictures. They came out awesome. You probably saw them when we posted them on the social medias. But you could check out her work by going to the website amandakmemories.com. It's where you can get in touch with her. Again, it's Amanda K, K-A-Y, memories.com. All right, let's jump into that conversation that Chrissy and myself had with Kelly Green when she came over to our office and shared her story. Thank you so much for listening. Enjoy. If you had less than 30 seconds to tell me who is Kelly Green, how would you tell yourself? Like, say you and I met for the first time and we ran into each other and I said, Kelly, what's going on with your life these days?
These days, I lift weights, play football, and own a vegan bakery. I had to have an awesome kid, which I should have led with, but
no, I get it.
That's okay. Your kid knows they're awesome, right?
He does.
Where'd you grow up? Did you grow up here in Utah?
I did, yeah. I grew up here, and I moved away for like 6 years to the East Coast. Came back, whole life pretty much.
What made you come back?
I was playing in a band, and then things weren't happening, and so I went to the East Coast to play music, and that wasn't happening. So then I found a drummer there, which was the missing piece of the band here, and so I brought him back here and played again. I don't know.
Nice.
We'll get into that. We'll get more into music and whatnot. But I want to kind of even jump right into your vegan bakery, just because I find this so fascinating. Because, I mean, years ago, veganism, being vegan, it was hard.
Yeah.
It was really hard. Like back in my vegan days, 20 years ago. I mean, how long have you been vegan now, Kelly?
Like 24 years.
24 years.
Sure-ish. Yeah, I mean, back when we were eating hot dogs from a can and rice milk and all that really gross
so there
things.
really wasn't a lot of options of being vegan, and now you're making like amazing vegan Twinkie type things. Dillios, is that how you pronounce
Dillos,
it?
like
Dillos, yeah, Dillos. I guess I've been pronouncing it wrong. Dillios. It's Dillos.
It's open to interpretation.
Either way, they look delicious. Like I was stalking your page on Facebook, and you make like a ton of different options.
Yeah.
I don't even know.
So for people listening, I'm sure there's a lot of people that have never even heard of Cakewalk. What is Cakewalk?
Whoa. My bakery's been around for like 10 years. There was not really options for vegan baked goods in Salt Lake back then. And I came back from the East Coast where there were awesome cakes and anything that I wanted. And I didn't have that here. So I just decided, hey, I don't know how to bake and I have a newborn baby. I might as well start a business and figure it out as I go along.
So did you just start it right out of your house then?
Yeah, well, I kind of started doing it as a fundraiser. I had a dog that was like disabled and he needed treatments. So I started doing it as a fundraiser for him. And then it just like the demand was so high that it turned into a business.
And approximately when was this? I mean, this was quite a few years ago.
It was like 10 years. My son was just born and I was like, hey, I don't have a job. Maybe I should start a business. It'll be a great way to, like save time away from my kid, which obviously a newborn, that's like a business and a newborn are not really like compatible, right? Yeah. Like I baked for many years with the kid in a backpack in my kitchen.
But that's one thing I know about you, Kelly, is that you're not the type of person, you don't do well at a normal 9-to-5 job.
No, that's true.
The Kelly that I know, at least. I don't know how you are today per se, but you've always been that way. You've always kind of done your own thing and ran your own business. I mean, because years ago you were doing screen printing, or was that more for the band?
Well, it was a little of both. Yeah.
You were doing that on the side, screen printing. I mean, what other businesses have you done? Have you done other businesses of your own or no?
No, I mean, that's pretty much it. But I worked for Guitar Center and I would work for a few months and get like a huge commission check and then quit and go on tour, like quit and not do anything for a while. Cause
you need the flexibility.
Yeah. I hate working for other people and just.
You're a natural born entrepreneur.
My whole family is actually like out of 5 of us, 4 of us own our own businesses.
So Cakewalk, talk about the products. I mean, you probably have your staple products that you make, cakes or what. Tell us about them.
Well, Dillos are vegan Twinkies, and I ship them to vegan grocery stores all over the country. So I don't even know, like they come and go so often, vegan grocery stores. So I'm not sure exactly how many right now, but yeah, like about a couple thousand a month, I think, and. Then I do just, cakes, birthday cakes, cookies. Yeah.
Pretty much whatever you're in the mood to make. And you probably do special orders for like, especially with the holidays coming up.
I'm like for Halloween, I'm doing caramel apples and like little Halloween boxes, and I do pies for Thanksgiving. And
does it tend to get really busy this time of year?
Yeah. I think, what's crazy is that Easter is the most popular time of year, which
really
I don't know why. Maybe there's not a lot of vegan options for Easter, but
what kind of Easter treats do people order? I never even thought of ordering food at Easter.
Yeah, just like a vegan Easter basket,
Okay.
Yeah. So one thing you have to realize here, Kelly, we need to educate Chrissy a little bit on veganism anyway. I mean, I obviously have a background of the vegan thing,
right.
But Chrissy. We were actually talking yesterday. She didn't realize that really everything.
He's gonna call me out.
I'm going to call you out here. The thing is Chrissy was even asking about the protein, right? Like, well, where do you get your protein from, right? And I'm sure you hear this all the time, especially being a power. Is it a power lifter? Power lifter. Correct me if I'm wrong. Everything has protein in except fruit, right?
Yeah, I mean, even fruit. Like my kid was saying last night that I should eat bananas for protein. I'm like, well, there's only 1 gram of protein.
If you eat enough bananas, then maybe.
He told me to eat 40 bananas, and that didn't sound good to me. But
well, and I know there's pea protein. That's like a really good protein you can get at a health food store. So when you said that, it made sense. I just
No, and I didn't mean to
people
call
like
you out
me
here.
naturally think of steak.
I just,
you know,
and that's the thing though.
It's
Is
common for Americans.
it is. We're kind of stupid. So
well, no, and I figure like listeners of the show, we can educate them a little bit about veganism.
Sure.
And about especially, I would say Salt Lake City is a pretty vegan friendly city.
Yeah.
It's gotten to that point.
I actually have a coworker who him and his wife moved here because it's so vegan friendly.
Weird.
Like there's so many options here.
Yeah, I've traveled a lot and it is one of the best cities. Like so many all vegan restaurants,
Yeah.
But yeah, like, the largest and strongest mammals in the world are all herbivores, elephants, rhinos, buffalo,
Oh, wow.
So people
Never
don't
thought
think
of
about that. They're like, where do you
Yeah.
get your protein? But nobody asks a rhino, where do you get your protein?
Well, I'm sure they tried, but then that rhino will just kick his
never
ass,
works out
right?
very well.
It's like, what are you talking to me for here? Anyway, so Cakewalk, what's been the response in Salt Lake? People here have been pretty cool about it, right? I mean, a lot of support.
Yeah. This city is like super supportive. Right now, most of my business is not in Salt Lake because it's mostly wholesale.
Is this kind of yourself doing it, or do you have employees that are helping? You said 2,000 dillos you make
a month. Yeah. It's mostly just me. I have an employee that I've had for 6 years, 8 years. I'm not sure. And he just recently became a high school teacher. So he helps me on Sundays still. And then I hired another girl and she's working out awesome. So
How many hours a week are you working then?
I don't know.
You're not, are you working
Like constantly?
like 80 hours a week, or is it like is it?
No, it's not quite that much. Like I work a few days a week right now. I'm working on getting packaging that's a little bit more professional so I can get into more stores. So I'm sure when that happens, it's going to be a whole other monster, but
Is that so? That's your goal, is to get into more stores and get bigger.
yeah. I bring Twinkies to the masses, More vegans
Everybody
need-
needs Twinkies.
Right.
It doesn't even matter if you're vegan.
There's actually a couple of questions before I ask them. I want to acknowledge them. We have an I Am Salt Lake community Facebook group. I don't know if you saw it. There's a couple
yeah,
questions that people had. I threw it out there. I said, hey, we're going to be talking to Kelly Green. Do you guys have any questions? Nicole, she asked what inspired her initially to become vegan, and on average, how welcoming are Utahns to vegan fare compared to other groovy cities? I had to use her wording there for the groovy cities.
Yeah.
I mean, we kind of talked about that, how Salt Lake City is a very vegan friendly city. What initially even started you to made you want to go vegan? Do you even remember 24 years ago, Kelly?
Well, when I was 12, I went vegetarian. So
Whoa, what instigated that?
I think the first seed in my head was when I was really little. My grandparents had a farm and I would go there in the summers and just fell in love with the pigs. And there was a pig there named Squiggly and I loved him. And I don't know if I was a really picky eater. And one morning we were eating bacon and I was probably being picky and they're like, oh, you're eating Squiggly. Yeah.
That is horrifying.
So I think that that started drawing connections for me at a really young age. And then,
is that kind of the moment you found out that meat is made from animals?
I think so. Yeah. And
oh man.
I don't know. I think they were trying to punish me for being a picky eater. Oh, well, if you're eating an animal,
That's
you should
kind
eat a
of fucked
vegetable.
up.
Yeah.
I really hope that's not why they did it, because that would be.
So, I mean, were your parents supportive of you doing the whole vegetarian? Because a lot of parents aren't.
I think they thought that it was a phase,
Sure.
I was a teenager.
Well, it still is.
Yeah.
I mean, this is obviously a phase. you're gonna get
Obviously,
over.
I think they've given up on it being a phase at this point. But yeah, I mean, they would make food and just, leave out the meat. I didn't know how to be a vegetarian at the time.
Sure. Well, I don't think any of us knew in our teen years how to be a proper vegetarian. I mean, the Triscuits and
ramen noodles, and
ramen
spaghetti
noodles.
and-
Oh gosh.
Yeah. Oh.
And again, we talked about how, Utah, I mean, Utah was obviously very welcoming to the vegan thing when you started Cakewalk 10 years ago. Just to kind of finish up Nicole's question here. Actually, let's ask this next question. I don't know. Michael Beck asked this is explain how sugar can be non-vegan. Is that still a big thing in the vegan community? Because that was like bone char and all this stuff. Was that how it was?
Well, I mean, this still is cane sugars is often processed through bone char, which some vegans care about, some vegans don't. Like, I make sure that my sugar is beet sugar or organic sugar, so it's not processed like that. But I mean, there's now veganism has grown so much that there's people that care about every little thing. You know what I mean? Like, I am a vegan for like ethics, for animal rights.
Sure.
So the health side of things is not as important to me, but you'll see a vegan post something like, oh, Oreos, like delicious new Oreos. And then everybody's like hydrogenated oil or Kraft, or you know what I mean? Like, different people are going to have a different opinion.
There's health food vegans.
Yeah. Or like, that's not healthy. That's not vegan, and it's, everybody has their own interpretation at this point.
I remember years ago, and maybe I completely skewed it up, my memories from say 20 years ago or wrong. But I remember there was a time when it was almost like vegan was a bad word to say in Salt Lake City. Was it? Do you remember that at all? Like it was almost like the police had it as a gang and all this and that. That was back in the crazy animal rights. Like is it that way still?
I don't think so. I think that, there's like all these vegan celebrities now.
Yeah,
and like,
it's a little more of a common.
Yeah.
I was just wondering how it was still, if it was targeted as a bad thing.
It doesn't seem to be. I mean, I'm sure that there's still like a lot of people that don't understand it. So they will definitely like shame people for, like a lot of vegan parents are shamed for raising their children vegan. And
are you shamed?
I mean, I don't see how anybody could look at my 110-pound 9-year-old.
Yeah,
that's like almost my height and think that I'm depriving him of nutrients.
You've raised him completely vegan his whole life,
and he loves it.
See, I think it's awesome. I think it's awesome. There was a book, Michael Clapper, I think. I don't know if you're familiar with. He's a doctor. Michael Clapper wrote a book on raising kids vegan. I don't know. That's a whole nother subject. Anyway, but yeah. So I mean, you've dealt with it with your kid a little bit? Then?
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely people that question it, but it's, it's my ethics. So I'm certainly not going to question somebody raising their child in their religion or, something that they believe. Like, this is, this is your like parental right, is to raise your children with your ethics and your morals.
And it seems like no matter what you do nowadays, there's like parental shaming for anything.
Yeah,
so you might as well just own it, right?
You let your kid play with plastic? What?
Exactly.
No.
Do you ever miss anything by being vegan? Like do you ever think about like ice cream or anything? Or you just been vegan for so long?
Yeah, I was saying this the other day. I wouldn't even know how to cook meat or bake anything that's not vegan because I've been vegetarian and vegan for so long. But no, I mean, everything that I've missed, like I miss Twinkies, so I started making them, and I missed eclairs, so I started making them. And
I love it. You just like find a need and you fill it.
Yeah, like I want to make this for myself, so I guess
how do you know what a Twinkie even tastes like, though?
I don't. Yeah. And at this point, I don't. I mean, but I
don't even know if I could tell you what a Twinkie tastes like. It's been forever since I've had a Twinkie. but you know what I mean, though? Like you think about that, like how to mimic something.
Yeah.
Is it just kind of what's in your head, or how do you?
I mean, I think I just tried to make a delicious cake, and I like the way it tastes. So it's just kind of nostalgic. Let's see, about 4 or 5 years ago, I met a woman who'd been vegan since birth, and I brought her a Dillo because I was so excited because she was like, I've never had a Twinkie. And she was so excited to try it. And I gave her one and I wanted to film a response, but she was just like, it's just cake. It's just cake. She was so disappointed. But I think in her mind, people talk up Twinkies so much that she like thought it was this magical thing, But that's all it is. It's cake with filling in it. It's not like.
Well, yeah, it's not like it's.
They're very built up in the American culture,
right? Heavens open up. And,
they're the zombie apocalypse foods. So.
Yeah, it's true.
And you mentioned you do a lot of wholesale with Cakewalk. You also do, I know like you went down to a festival in Vegas. Uh-huh. Do you do a lot of that, travel around a lot with Cakewalk, or was that kind of a one in?
Well, I just tried that out. I wanted to see, my parents and my sister live out there, so it was like a good excuse to go visit. And it was so awesome. I think I'll do more of that,
Yeah.
Why not?
What do you like the most out of doing? I know that's kind of a broad question, right? By doing Cakewalk, what do you like the most out of doing that?
Well, I like working for myself, setting my own hours, which is really convenient with my son. And there've been a few instances, like back when I had my storefront, somebody came in and they were like, super emotional. And they said, I I have been trying to go vegan for so long. I never thought I could do it. And then I had one of your cupcakes. And then I realized that if something this delicious can be vegan, then I can do this, And I've heard a few stories like that since then. And so I was like, this is outreach for me. This is a way for me to show people that veganism is attainable. It's, it's not just eating quinoa and kale,
Yeah, because I think people assume that it's
or
just
a block of tofu.
Yeah, right? that really is what a lot of people think.
What is your least favorite thing
about owning a business?
About owning your business or Cakewalk, or I guess it'd probably be more the business side of things, huh?
I kind of have just been making up the business side of things as I go along. So I think I've just taken really tiny baby steps instead of actually learning how to run a business. So figuring it out as I go along is kind of difficult. Sometimes really long hours. Like at Thanksgiving, I'll have like 17-hour baking days. But yeah, I mean, I pretty much love it.
I'm sure there's days you want to throw the towel in, right?
Oh,
you
yeah.
want to quit. What keeps you going? What's made it so you haven't quit, Kelly?
Honestly,
you're laughing because you're like, well, an hour ago I quit.
No, I'm laughing. Well, I don't know what else I would do, honestly. Whenever I start thinking that, I'm like, okay, I'm going to quit. I'm going to sell all my stuff. And then I think about what a daunting task that would be. And then I think about being an employee to someone else and how bad I am at that. So I don't think ultimately it's in the cards.
What advice would you give somebody who wanted to start a business of their own? Say a baking business. I know that's obviously what you do, but just a business in general or baking, what advice?
When people ask me for that advice, I usually say, don't do it. And then when people come back and do it anyway, then they really wanted to.
Yeah.
But I say, just have a lot of money to start your business because the first few years you will not make anything. You'll be,
It's just establishing yourself at your own personal cost.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because when you started, you've had like your own storefronts. You've had like your own, because now you share a space with Frisch, right?
Right.
I don't know if that's public knowledge. I'm assuming it is.
Oh, yeah. They sell me treats.
What made you want to do that versus have your own space?
I liked having my own storefront because I liked interacting with people, but ultimately, I like to travel and I like to do, like football and lifting take up a lot of time. So I like having my own hours, and if I can work half as much and make more money, then it's gonna help, my life considerably.
So it makes it a lot easier to put it into all that. Let's actually take a quick break. We need to play a message here from our sponsor. And then when we come back, I want to get into, we had a question about your lifting and stuff like that. I want to get into all of that, if that's okay with you, and probably some of your music.
All right.
So hang tight, and we'll be back with Kelly here in just a second. This episode of I Am Salt Lake Podcast is proudly sponsored by Jed's Barbershop. With 3 locations, you have no reason to not always look your best. Go get a haircut, a beard trim, or even a straight razor shave. Jed's Barbershop is open 7 days a week, Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 9 p.m., Saturday, 9 to 7, and Sunday, 12 to 5. Their newest location is located at 167 East, 900 South, right next to Randy's Records. They also have a location downtown at 212 South, 700 East, and up in Sugar House at 2153 East, 2100 South. No appointment is necessary. Just show up, get yourself a haircut. Maybe you have a last-minute date or a job interview. Jed's Barbershop is the place for you. Head on over to their website at jedsbarbershop.com for more information. So in our Facebook group, the I Am Salt Lake community, Nikki, which happens, she's actually a New Zealand listener, believe it or not. We have a couple listeners over there in New Zealand. She wants to hear how you got into lifting, and was there any challenges or prejudices to overcome being a woman in a male-dominated area? Because what got you into that? I mean, you haven't always been into like powerlifting and all that athletic stuff.
Yeah, no, I had never done any sports really. I did like gymnastics when I was younger and, like church sports and stuff. But I think after I had my son, I had gained a lot of weight, and it was really hard for me because in high school I had an eating disorder and I was used to being really thin. And so this was like my way to like get into fitness. I wanted to lift and run and, you know, I was doing triathlons, and then I just decided to start lifting weights, which actually gave me a much better body image. Like, I don't know, like I was less worried about what I weighed and more worried about what I could lift, you know? And, yeah, it was a while ago. Like, I think lifting for women is a lot more accepted now, but yeah, men did not like it. Like, especially if you can like outlift them, or, you know, they're watching you in the gym and
kind of like you were threatening their ego,
like masculine space, you know?
Oh, man.
Did you have a friend introduce you to it, or like, were you just driving by a gym one day, or talk about that? I mean, how does that
like,
work?
that looks interesting. I'm gonna hop in there.
I'm sure that happens for some people, right? They're like, well, you know, I'm getting a little overweight here. I need to go hit up the gym.
Yeah.
I don't know. How did that happen for you?
Well,
Kelly?
yeah, I mean, a lot of people don't know where to start at all. But I had a friend, my friend Crystal is a powerlifter. We're on the plant built team together. And she took me to the gym one day, and I was like, hey, show me how to lift. And she showed me all the lifts, like the 3 lifts for powerlifting, bench, squat, deadlift, and, you know, just kind of started doing it from there.
But I mean, I'm sure it took you a while to build up. I mean, you weren't always the athletic type, were you?
No, I mean, I was.
Because I know how it is for me when if I go try to start, you know, it's like, okay, I'm going to start doing push-ups, and you're like, oh my gosh, I just
I'm going to do one push-up.
15, and you feel like you got your butt kicked in, right?
Yeah.
Like now, you know, it takes a while to get built up.
I mean, I think I put on muscle really quick, and I'm also really stubborn. So, you know, I'm driven to
Two
like,
good things.
Right? I'm driven to like outlift people, or like get the biggest numbers for myself, or, you know, like if there's a dude lifting, I like want to see where
to show him up.
match up
And
with that.
you had a baby at that point, right?
Yeah.
And being a new mom, I think you build up muscle pretty quick, especially arm muscle.
It's true.
Because you're constantly juggling and carrying a baby and doing other things. And so you start to feel a little bit stronger than you would, than you did before you had a baby.
You did some lifting, right, Chrissy? No?
I did. Oh, man.
Did you do powerlifting?
I didn't do powerlifting, but I did weightlifting. I probably worked out 1 to 2 hours a day, every day a week for about a year.
Nice.
And I looked all right.
Yeah.
Then I stopped because food is wonderful. And
I mean, I think of lifting as a reason that I get to eat more food. So
see, that's the way I need to think of it. For me, it just made me feel good.
Yeah.
I did it because I loved feeling strong.
And for women, it's so good for our bones, our like bone density.
Is there a lot of vegan powerlifters out there?
There are now. I think like for a long time, there were a lot of vegan endurance athletes. And then like I'm part of this team called Plant Built, and there's vegan bodybuilders and powerlifters, and hopefully soon strongman athletes, which I also do. And, you know, just different lifting sports. And we go compete in Austin and kind of just try to show people that vegans can be strong. And
so these people are from all over, not
all over
not
the
just
world.
Utah or Salt Lake.
Have you found it really challenging to enter that space as a vegan? Like, do people treat you differently? Or, I mean, because you're a woman and you're a vegan.
Well, she's got her whole posse to back her up. Her group,
there I
right?
do.
You know,
But yeah, I mean, there's always like these like asinine, like, oh, but what about bacon? Or, you know, like these stupid jokes that like
what about
people
bacon?
like to squiggly.
Tell me about bacon here.
Oh, squiggly. I am so sad right now.
We're going to go home and Chrissy's going to throw out all the bacon. I'm going to cry. No, so, but you have quite a few, like here in Salt Lake, some vegan, like powerlifting friends, or is it kind of you solo? Or
There's a few now, like Crystal lives here, and then there's a few others. Actually, I go to a gym where I know I've met
it's all vegan there. It's an all vegan gym.
I wish, but no. No, there's a lot of strong vegans. And I think, you know, people used to think that it was like, how could you be a strong vegan, you know? But I think that I recover a lot quicker than most people. Like, I don't get sore. I know it probably varies person to person, but like the food that I eat just rebuilds me instantly, you know, instead of like having to go through like more of a process.
Yeah,
to,
like your body doesn't have
down.
to break down the harsh proteins and the difficult whatever's in meat and then rebuild from there. Mm-hmm.
See, and I mean, obviously I've never done powerlifting and I've never done like that intense of athletic type stuff, but Do you find, I mean, obviously you're counting all the proteins and you're making sure you're getting however much you need. Would it be harder or the same on a plant-based, or is there much difference?
I think I get to eat a lot more. Like if I watch my calories, I honestly don't track stuff like that.
No, you should.
Some people do. But yeah, like I think I get to eat a lot more because it's vegetables or like no calories, you know?
Sure.
Like,
Do you ever feel like you have to eat a lot more? And that's frustrating. Like you don't want to keep eating, but you're like, I need this much more protein.
Whoever said it was frustrating to eat?
I like to eat. I mean,
that's what I don't know. To be that frustrating.
it's possible.
Dang it, I got to eat again.
no, like after football games, I feel like I will just eat for the rest of the night.
Oh, I bet.
So back to, I mean, we talked about advice with Cakewalk. What advice would you give somebody who was vegan and wanted to get into like weightlifting or powerlifting? Is there anything you would tell them?
I'd say that do research on your own, like watch videos, read as much as you can read. Don't worry. People are going to have stupid advice. Like if you post a video of yourself lifting online, you're going to have 30 different people giving you 30 different bits of advice.
But even as a meat eater, I'm sure you would deal with that.
Exactly. I think that it's just like everybody's got an opinion. And
People are dicks. Just ignore them and do your thing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's best advice.
What about vegan in general? What advice would you give somebody who wanted to just go vegan, not do the powerlifting?
I think like in both instances, just listen to your body.
Listen to your body, do some research.
And just like, I think, when your body is craving things, like, research what that might be and like,
like if it's actually a deficiency as opposed to you just need more chocolate.
Right, exactly.
More non-vegan chocolate.
And then you play football too, right? Uh-huh. Is it just for like a local league, or do you guys play out of state at all? Or
we're in National League. We play all over the country, and we're actually 2-time national champions.
What's the name of the team? What's your team?
Utah Falcons.
Utah Falcons. Oh, that's I've heard of the Utah Falcons. That's like the women's football league thing. I didn't know you played in that. Yeah. Wow. So I need to get your autograph when we're finished here.
Like 7 seasons now. I'm going to my 8th.
Wow. What got you into that? Or is that a story you don't want to share?
No, it's just so silly. Like
football, though, of all things.
I really like sports movies. Because I like underdog stories. Rocky's my favorite movie. And I was watching a football movie one day, and I was like, maybe I would like these movies even more if I understood the game or knew how to play. And so, by the next week, I was on a football team.
See, and I don't even know. I don't even know the rules of football, and I still have never seen Rocky to this day.
Someone tried to explain it to me once, and I'm like, football is really complicated.
It is.
It's actually super. I don't even want to try to understand it anymore.
See, so I play defense, so I don't have to learn all the different routes and plays, and so I just hit people basically. Like whoever has the ball, I go hit them, which is super awesome.
I like that.
It's super fun.
And are you the only vegan on the team?
I am. Yeah, I've met, it took me a while, but I've met a few other vegans throughout the world that play women's football players, and on other teams like that I play. So
do you like how I put you on the spotlight? Like, are you the only vegan? Like, do you ever think, like, I always find it interesting.
Is it hard to survive in your life?
Well, no, football, it's harder than
do you think
lifting.
So?
Yeah.
Do you think really? Because, it's like you don't really think about it. Like I've had jobs where I'll eat like a salad or something for lunch, and all the guys will give me crap for it. And they're like, "Oh, no!" As they run off to McDonald's, and it's like, well, no one's giving you crap for eating McDonald's. Like you're giving me a hard time for eating a salad. Like if anything, you should be healthier, right? Like you would think.
I think people maybe don't think that, because like with lifting, it's, people care about their bodies. They want to like be healthy. So they're conscious of like, you're eating a salad. That's not terrible,
Right.
But, in football, after a game, they'll all go out to eat. And obviously there's no option for me because it's some horrible restaurant. And so I'll eat a salad or just get really grumpy because I don't have food.
Yeah.
And so everybody is like, what's wrong with her?
So you have kind of like this social, almost like exclusion type thing when you are out with your football.
Yeah,
and it's probably easier today's age because there's a lot more vegan options. I think when you go to restaurants,
somewhat, but like they'll go to like Buffalo Wild Wings or something, and I'm like, oh, cool, I'll have your celery.
It's so social. Like food is so social, and so that would be really difficult. You just need to get them to go to one of these vegan restaurants, and I usually don't tell them it's vegan.
Get food beforehand and bring it with me.
Oh, that's you got your little cooler. This Kelly's cooler.
It makes me feel so weird, but yeah, I don't know. It's definitely harder with football than with lifting, though.
Let's talk about music. Because I know music's a big part of your past. You're not playing music today? Or
I have some projects in the works.
You want to talk about that at all? Or is it kind of top secret?
Well, let's see what happens. Actually, Ryan Seaman was in town the other day, and we talked about, he's finally convinced Duke and I to do like a Teen Tragedies reunion.
Really?
So nobody cared back then. Probably nobody will care if we do it again. But,
yeah. And for people listening, and for Chrissy's sake, Teen Tragedies, an old punk rock band from Salt Lake City here, which consisted of you and Duke and Ryan. Ryan Seaman, who actually was on the podcast years ago. Are you going to do it?
Yeah, that's the plan. We just we'll see when it happens. I think we want to find like a good reason to have a show, maybe, you know. But yeah, I think it's been like Duke's been the hold up here. Like, I always want to play. I'll play with whoever, you know. But
and you play guitar, right?
I play guitar and sing. Yeah.
Do you play any other instruments?
I played bass in a band, and that's for a little while.
Is Teen Tragedies, that was like your first ever only band? Back then, back in the day.
I wanted to sing in a band, and I couldn't find a band to just sing in.
Yeah.
So I kind of like with football, like I decided just to pick up a guitar and start playing that. And 6 months later, I started my band.
Dude, I love it. Everything in your life you do just because you're like,
I want to do
that should happen. Well, like, this should be a thing. I'm just going to do it now.
People should do that. I mean, like, you know, so many people sit around and they're like, oh, I want to do this someday. Or just do it, you know?
Yeah.
Life is short.
And you toured around the United States a little bit with like Teen Tragedies and music and whatnot. So you've kind of lived that life too.
Yeah. Yeah, we back in the day when you had to like book your tour out of like just calling strangers and, you know, having a road atlas. That was that was fun.
Do you ever miss that, like the touring life and the rock and roll life? And
yeah, I found out that I was pregnant, I think like 2 days before I left on the last tour that I went on.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so that was like kind of an intense emotional tour. I was like, oh. And that was kind of the last that I've played in a band, but I've done some like acoustic stuff and just played on my own since then.
If you could learn any instrument, what would you like to learn?
I always wanted to play the harp.
Really?
Yeah, and I was looking at him the other day thinking about like buying one so I could learn.
Really?
I bet in a year you're going to be like, I play the harp and people pay me now.
Like the big full-size harp that people play like at weddings and stuff like that?
Yeah, although I saw smaller ones that seem more affordable.
Like
so
a little,
maybe I'll
what do they call
there.
those, lutes even? Like,
yeah, it was like mediums. I don't know. See, I clearly haven't researched this yet.
Wow.
That would be really cool. You've a step up because you already play guitar. It's a string, right? They're basically the same thing.
I didn't actually learn how to play guitar. I learned how to play a power chord and just kind of like figured it out, you know? So
it counts.
Yeah, I learned a Green Day song and then I was like, okay, I can play guitar. I got this.
I thought would be really fun with you bringing you on was to talk about all the vegan food options here in Salt Lake City. I don't know how well you've kept up with all, because isn't there like 3 new meatless food options?
Yeah, like
restaurants
this month, I think.
That just opened up here in Salt Lake. Because we get people that listen to the show that are visiting or maybe moving here. And obviously, I don't know all of them anymore. You know, I know like there's Bud's and Frisch and Vertical Diner. What are like some of your favorites, Kelly? Let's talk about that for a little bit. Usually I ask people like their favorite places, but let's get a little more in depth here with vegan.
I mean, you know,
or do you even keep up on all of them?
I should eat out more often. I like ethnic food, so that's not like as much all vegan restaurants, but I do I like Bud's. It's a sandwich shop that's all vegan. Man, I don't even know. Like Frisch, you know, that's where my baking happens, and they're awesome
all
people.
vegan, right?
Yeah. They're good people. They've got some awesome food there, and I don't even know. Like,
so you mostly cook at home? Then.
Yeah.
You don't really get into.
I mean, it's with my kid, it gets expensive to eat out a lot,
sure.
You know, and he eats more than I do.
He's a teenage boy, or almost
boy,
a teenage
right?
boy.
He's 10,
9. Yeah. Well, it's gonna
get more expensive.
He's like, oh my gosh.
Chrissy's son is what is he? 12?
12.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he's eating us out of house and home.
Mm-hmm.
Man,
that's super fun.
Yeah, my kid's bigger than I was at the end of high school. So
wow. He's definitely and hasn't even really hit his growth spurt yet.
No. And like he plays sports and stuff, so he eats extra. I don't know. Nightmare.
Wow. Let's ask you, there's a question I thought would be kind of fun to ask you. I ask a lot of people that come on the show, most memorable concert or sporting event that you've been to. I'm sure there's maybe even one of both. I don't know, because I can imagine you probably go to sporting events, or no?
I do, yeah. Most memorable concerts, it wasn't in Utah, but my favorite concert I've ever seen, I'm touching things again, was Dolly Parton in New Jersey.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Did you go see her when she was recently
I
down
did,
at
yeah.
UVU?
Yeah.
Less than a year ago, I think
Yeah,
it was.
she was amazing.
Wow. Man, she's still going, huh? Good for her.
She plays like every instrument. She's like real musician. She's amazing.
Wow.
That is so
And
cool.
where did you say you saw her out east?
In New Jersey.
New Jersey.
Yeah.
Wow. Do you miss the East Coast at all? I miss it sometimes.
I miss it so much.
Yeah.
I see New York on TV and I feel homesick.
Did you live? You lived right in New York City?
I lived in Brooklyn and I lived in New Jersey for a little while and in Philly. So just kind of all over.
Do you ever think you'll go back, or are you pretty settled in Utah? I'm just curious. I mean, you came back here. Is this home now?
I don't know. I mean, I think about
your
it.
family's not even here anymore.
Right. And that was kind of the thing holding me here was my parents were here.
They all went down to Vegas, you said?
Yeah.
Wow. That's a shock.
And I think, maybe I should move to Vegas sometimes, but then I'm like, their air is not really any better than here. So
It's just so hot
like,
there.
Yeah, and like weird people. I don't know.
What would you change about Salt Lake City if you could? Is there one or two things you would change, or is that a loaded question?
Oh, I mean, I think the air quality here is so horrible. And it's, I feel guilty raising my son here. I feel like, what am I doing to his,
Do you think he's has a hard time breathing here?
I don't think, I do. So I assume that he will at least someday.
Because sometimes I wonder, I'm like, am I having a hard time breathing? Is this the air that's causing it, or is this just life, right? Like, am I getting old?
It's just getting old.
Yeah, in the summer when I feel like you can taste the air sometimes, like my eyes get itchy. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's
It does make you
part
wonder.
of getting old.
I refuse to accept that. People say things like that all the time, and I'm like, no, I'm vegan, right? I have a fountain of youth. That's how it's
true.
supposed to work. Probably not. I don't know.
If you could do a Skype call with anybody, any living or dead, who would you do a Skype call with, Kelly?
Skype call.
Like if you could talk to somebody for 10 minutes.
Oh, dang. I don't know. My grandma passed away recently, and I feel like there was some unfinished business there. Like we had kind of a weird relationship while she was alive. So I think I'd like to, talk to her.
What would you name the autobiography of your life?
It's Not Easy Being Green. I feel like that song should be played at my funeral as well.
If money was no object, what would you do all day?
Just travel, see it all.
Like, is there somewhere that you haven't been that you would like to go to?
I haven't been out of the country nearly enough. So, everywhere.
Everywhere. Just get out there and travel.
Go.
If you could do anything on your next birthday, what would you like to do?
I don't know. That's hard because I pretty much just do everything I want to do, Like when I turned 40, I did like 40 new things, and I just spent the whole year like
talk about. I'm turning 40 here in a couple of months. So talk about that. 40 new things.
Yeah, I just went through and did like 40 things I'd never done before. So I found, I did like anti-gravity yoga. I did, went on like hikes that I'd never done, saw bands I'd never seen.
So you made a list of like 40 things?
And I kind of did it as I went along. Like I learned how to throw knives. I took a blacksmithing class.
Oh, wow. Was there anything that you really fell in love with? You're like, out of 40 things, it seems like a few of them you would totally love.
I really liked blacksmithing. It was really hard on my body though. So
oh, really?
Yeah, I think I'll return to that maybe when I am done with football, because doing both was really painful.
Just as a hobby, or maybe actually start making things? And
I don't know. I probably just as a hobby. I can't see that as a job for me.
Is that even a job nowadays?
Blacksmithing?
Yeah,
I think
like
people,
still,
yeah.
Like
maybe.
when you like for horseshoes
Yeah,
or something like that.
Well, I don't know. I mean,
Like
everything's made by machines, right?
Well, there's that I guess there's a reality show where people make knives and swords.
Really?
Yeah.
A reality show of that. I don't know. I don't keep up with all the.
I think it's neat, but I don't.
I want to learn how to make swords. I never did that in the class, so.
Well, that's what I was going to ask, if you could learn a random skill, but it sounds like you kind of, if there's something you want to learn, you kind of go after it, right?
Yeah. I mean, I want to learn how to weld. I haven't done that yet, so.
Like maybe underwater welding, like deep sea welding?
Ultimately, I want to learn to weld and make stained glass windows. Those were two things I didn't get to check off my 40 list.
Oh, wow. That would be cool.
Was it tough to turn 40? Again, I wonder, because I'm not having, there's a little part of me that's like, gosh, I'm getting old. Like, I feel like I'm losing life here, right? Like, it's like, gosh, there's still so much I want to do. And I'm getting old. And
I think I tried to celebrate it instead of like dreading it, like, I don't know. I don't have, I'm not good at like accepting that I'm older. So I'm really in denial of it.
If you could go back to your first day of high school and give yourself advice, what would you tell yourself?
Tell myself to honestly like leave high school sooner and start living my life.
Really?
As horrible as that is, I wouldn't tell my kid this. Yeah. But like I quit high school and started going to college and I was like, wait, I could have done this all along. This is crazy, and I just feel like high school was such a waste of time for me. I didn't accomplish anything. I made some friends, but I don't know.
Like you were just ready to move on and create your life.
Yeah.
At that point. Yeah.
I don't know.
That's how it is for some people.
Let's run down the list of Cakewalk, how people can find it, like your address, people listening, I guess, in Utah. I mean, can people order through the mail too?
So my website, cakewalkbakingcompany.com, or on Facebook, Cakewalk Vegan, Twitter, Instagram. But yeah, you can order from my website. I can ship you stuff, or like if you have a vegan grocery store in your city, and you're in America, then they should have stuff. If they don't, then tell them
to bring it in.
Yeah.
What if somebody like myself, say I want to order like a pie or something for Thanksgiving or Christmas? Do you have like cutoff dates, or is that you probably haven't really figured all those out yet?
Yeah, I mean, I'll
just don't come to you the day before.
Sometimes I have extra things, but yeah, I'll get a lot of that. Like, do you have anything left? But yeah, just on my website, I put up the like monthly specials or holiday stuff, and you just come pick it up at Frisch.
Right on. And I'll put all the links with this show at iamsaltlake.com. So if people are driving, they can go check out and connect with you on Facebook. I always tell people, connect with whoever we bring on the show. Let them know they heard you on the show. Anything else we should bring up before we let her? I feel like we've kind of been all over the place.
I know. There's
so much about you, Kelly. And I vote for a Teen Tragedies reunion just because I think it'd be funny, right?
Yeah, I mean,
who would you play? Actually, one more thing on that. Who would you like to play with you? Is there like an old punk rock band?
We talked about this the other day. We're trying to figure out like who would play,
or would that make it to like, I don't know. I don't want to put you on the spot.
Like a bunch of old people playing music.
Well, no, like maybe I wouldn't want to hurt somebody's
feelings. Or like
feelings.
if you pick the wrong band,
they're like, well, why didn't you want to play with me?
We used to play with it. There's this band called Arrogant. We talked about trying to get them to reunite. I don't know if they would, but they were like a cute kid ska band at the time. They're all obviously not kids anymore, but like they were fun. I don't know who else. I mean, when Ryan was in the band, it was a bunch of different bands that we played near the end, played with near the end. So
pretty much anyone who would reunite at this point.
Or just whoever wanted to play. I don't know.
Awesome.
Let's figure it out.
Thank you so much for coming and doing the podcast. We'll end it there. I always tell people, let's catch up down the road and see what you've been up to. I think you've been up to a lot of cool things. So it was cool to finally get you on the podcast, Kelly.
Yay, thanks.
You bet. So thank you so much. All right. Many thanks again to Kelly Green for joining us on this episode. What a great conversation.
Yeah, she was a lot of fun.
Finding out about Cakewalk and veganism and powerlifting. Very cool story. Glad to finally bring her on the show. Head on over to our website, iamsaltlake.com/302. It's for episode 302. Through all the links for Cakewalk and links for Kelly, all that. Get in touch with her. Let her know that you heard her on this episode of I Am Salt Lake podcast. I love to make this city a little bit smaller, right?
Yeah, and reach out and let us know, like, if you've had her stuff.
Yeah.
If you've had the Dillos.
Yeah, any of her Cakewalk vegan eating, check it out. Give it a bite to eat. I mean, especially with the holidays coming up.
Oh, man. Yeah, you want to bring some to Thanksgiving.
Hey, it's the first of the month. That means it's time to give some love to our Patreon supporters. These are the people that go the extra mile with donating to the podcast, being a supporter. For those of you that don't know what Patreon is, basically it's like an ongoing Kickstarter where you kick on over $1 or $2, Helps keep the podcast moving forward. Anyway, let's run down the list here. John Miller, Ryan Prince, Zach Shutt, Brandon Hill from Mountain Standard Time Marketing, Will Dugdale, Jared Aguilar, Brittany Hemingway, Jeff Hadfield, Michael Beck, Eric Tomorrow, Nicole Davison, Max Allen, Jeff Hatt, Kevin Lindstrom, John and Nikki from New Zealand, 3 Irons SLC, Scott Knopf, Alex Santee, Alan Martindale, Sana, Zelly, Dirt in Your Skirt Podcast, Christopher Heiser, and Jay Chambers. That is a list of some supporters. I mean, these guys are kind of our frontline supporters, right? Like these are the ones that say, we love you guys. Here's an extra $1 or $2. Helps keep those lights on. If you want to become a supporter, head on over to patreon.com/IamSaltLake. You get some cool rewards for supporting the podcast.
Yeah, and at the $5 level, you can even have a link to whatever you do or who you want to promote on our website.
Right on our website. Check that out. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to Chrissy or myself regarding that. Also, with it being the first Sunday of the month, it's time to talk about this Kiwi calendar coming to the end of it, November. And again, I'll take a picture of this and put it in our I Am Salt Lake community.
Yeah.
In our group page.
These are fun to guess. I think I'm usually wrong all the time.
So November 2017, it shows like a house. I don't know. It's like a house with some flowers and
like a minimalism.
Yeah.
It's cute. I would live there.
You know what's cool about this calendar is it shows a lot. It looks like they have some stuff coming up this month.
I think I've mentioned
some holidays.
It too.
Canterbury Anniversary Day. And it looks like they observe Veterans Day.
Yeah, I think they have all the American holidays on the Kiwi calendars too.
Yeah, so it makes it nice for us. Anyway,
it works for us too.
We'll take a picture of this. Nikki, please tell us if there's any meaning behind this. I don't know. Maybe it's just a beautiful picture.
Maybe. Famous architect.
And if you want to find our group page, it's just facebook.com/group I Am Salt Lake or something like that. But hey, you've heard me mention them. You've heard me praise them. I love these guys. Jed's Barbershop is a very proud sponsor of this podcast. They have 3 locations, so you have no reason to not always look your best with those 3 locations. Go get a haircut, a beard trim. You can even get a straight razor shave.
Get a hot towel on your face.
Jed's Barbershop is open 7 days a week, Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 9 p.m., Saturday, 9 to 7, and Sunday, 12 to 5. Their newest 3rd location, it's located at 167 East, 900 South, right next to Randy's Records. They also have a location right downtown, not really close to Sprouts there, at 212 South, 700 East, and up in Sugar House, 2153 East, 2100 South. No appointments necessary. So to show up, get yourself a haircut, that straight razor shave. JedsBarbershop.com is where you can find out more information about them. All right, that's going to do it again for this episode. Many thanks again for Kelly from Cakewalk for coming on the podcast. Many thanks to you guys for listening, for our Patreon supporters, for Chrissy co-hosting the podcast with me. I couldn't do this show without her, guys. So,
thanks for letting me join.
Yeah, I love that girl too. I love her to death over there. Anyway, Hey, connect with us on Facebook. It would mean the world to both of us. Facebook.com/IamSaltLake is our Facebook page.
Reach out and just tell us hi. We want to meet you.
Tell us hello. Sometimes we don't know you guys. I mean, we see people are downloading the podcast, but sometimes we don't know all the people listening.
Yeah, we want to know your faces.
Hey, you guys have a great week. Get out and enjoy our beautiful city. Go for a walk in your neighborhood. Give a stranger a high five, and we'll see you on the next episode.
And good night, Grammy.